Assalamu alaikum, everyone. We are here today with Saadia and Ramsha, who are going to be doing a workshop for us, and we're going to talk in detail about what they will do. So, first of all, I would like you, Saadia and Ramsha, to introduce yourself and tell us about the work that you have been doing.
Assalamu alaikum, everyone, and thank you so much, Aram, for inviting us to do this. And we're really excited to be collaborating with Muslim Moms of Canada. Alhamdulillah, great organization. Really happy with the work you're doing in the community. As somebody who lives in the Toronto area, I can see the impact of your events all the time. Alhamdulillah. A little introduction about myself. I've been quite active in the Toronto Muslim community for about 20 years now. Most recently, I was doing some coaching from my home, coaching for divorced Muslim women. And the demand for that simply went through the roof until I had to contact community leaders to get involved and to provide me some guidance. And what I realized through all of that, I was a full-time teacher at that time working with first Al-Falah, which is a very well-known Islamic school in the West End, and then later on with Gibraltar Leadership Academy in the East End. What I learned through all of that was that there's a need in the Muslim community to talk about divorce, to talk about marriage, and to talk about generally just the mental and emotional health of women. And I left the work for a while. It was completely on a volunteer basis, and I got busy with life. But then through the pandemic, so many people started calling me. And there was such an interest in talking about marriage and in strengthening marriages and in figuring out ways to heal and fix broken marriages. And so I saw a need in the community to get involved in this kind of work. What I ended up doing is I already have 2 master's degrees, alhamdulillah. I did get a life coaching certification on top of that, and then I got to work right away. And alhamdulillah, it's going well. I say that with a little bit of hesitation because it also does make me sad how much need there is in our community. But I mean, what could be better work than strengthening Muslim marriages, right? SubhanAllah. I mean, a strong woman can make a strong marriage makes a strong family, and a strong family makes a strong community, inshallah. So that's the whole intent behind the work.
That's wonderful. And it's so great that you have focused in that area because it's very much needed. What about, let's hear from Ramsha now. Ramsha, can you tell us about yourself?
Sure. Okay. So I know you guys are both repping Canada. I'm from the US and I'm coming from New York, Long Island to be exact. And I'm on the other end where I'm super duper passionate about sharing with people how to create heaven on earth through their marriages, how to make a marriage made in heaven, but from the proactive place of mind where I focus on the premarital part of it because I've seen marriages through my own like volunteer work, through my own family, friends experiences throughout my life, almost 3 decades of just witnessing marriages gone downhill because people aren't equipped with the tools, even simple things like communication tools or setting healthy boundaries or just knowing themselves enough to decide who they want to spend the rest of their lives with and then actually building that sustainable marriage. So what I do, I'm a researcher. I'm also an author. I've started my own company called Ikra Dream, which is a spiritual and mental health and wellness startup. I'm also a therapist in training. So I focus on bridging the gaps between the mental and the spiritual health side. And right now, my passion project, which maybe you guys know about, is Enlightened Match. So it's a project in which it's a high level coaching in which I guide my clients from like single and seeking the love of their lives all the way to their engagement or wedding day, which alhamdulillah, so far I've gotten 100% success rate with, and I feel like it's my life's calling. So I'm really, really feeling great and really empowered about, just instead of, which is so beautiful because Saadia is doing the work on the other side, I'm doing it. It's like we're complementing each other, right? The before and the after. So I think this is such a beautiful symbiosis, and I'm so, so grateful to be collaborating with you guys.
Well, Ramsha, to be honest with you, like I often talk to women about 10, 15, 20 years into their marriage. And in my mind, I'm like, God, this should have been talked about way at the beginning, at the stage that you talk to women at, and I'm thinking that, of course, I don't say it because it's not very helpful to them at that moment. But I often think about that or in the context of many of the women I coach, when I tell them something, they're like, no one's ever said that to me before. And I just wish we could get to people earlier in life, and teach them those tools like you were talking about. So, alhamdulillah, thank you for the work you're doing.
Barakallahu fikum. And I just want to add in there that, I've studied it for almost like 10 years now. I've studied relationships. I've studied our faith too. I was a teenager who used science to get to faith and ended up writing a book about it, submission, about letting go of your ego. That's what I believe is the theory of everything. And that's what I think plays a huge role in marriages too, where egos get in the way of bridging, in a relationship. If there's ego, it's not a relationship. It's not going to go very far. So when people, know about that in advance and they prepare for it proactively, I mean, it saves them not just, we're talking monetary, like thousands of dollars, it saves them years of their lives, years of their mental health, their spiritual well-being, if they just got to it early. So that's what I found after almost a decade of research, that we can't, it's better to do it proactively. So that's why I devoted myself to just focusing on the premarital aspect of it.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, that's makes a lot of sense, and absolutely, that's so much needed. And I realize that it doesn't really happen. Matchmaking is done in a very superfluous way most of the time, and unfortunately, we see the results of that. So I would like to also know about your experience of conducting similar workshops. Have you done any workshops like this before, and what has been the focus?
Ramsha, did you want to start?
Sure, yeah. Okay, so I started out in 2019 with coaching, and that was initially with kids, with the youth. It was about making faith magnetic for kids. So I started it out on Long Island, and then slowly, more and more people started reaching out, started sharing the incredible impact that we were having on, young women, young children, their confidence, their belief in themselves, their motivation for just life in general, right? And then I ended up going through the premarital journey myself. And I had to put everything that I'd learned from all my mentors and all my coursework into practice myself with my best friend. And that was when I really understood and fell in love with not transitioning from working with children to now working with, young women going on this most, monumental journey of a lifetime. And then I partnered up with Saadia Yunus, who is literally down the block from me, an incredible marriage and family therapist, an influencer in our community. And mashallah, through her, I was able to begin launching workshops and webinars on intimacy and marriage, which has been the focus of my workshops. And intimacy is not just about like physical intimacy with your spouse, but the root of intimacy is getting to know yourself. So I'm all about that, and that's what the workshops that I've done to this point, whether it's with kids or whether it's with adults or young women, have been all about, is getting to know yourself. Because until you get to know yourself, you're not able to, create the life of your dreams. You're not able to get the person of your dreams. You're not able to go anywhere. So that's what my focus is and has been.
I love that. And I think that's one of the things we're going to be talking about in the workshop, is not just knowing yourself, but investing in yourself. Yes. And that once you really take time to show yourself that love, show yourself that self-respect, and get in touch with what drives you, what motivates you, what makes you feel loved, only then can you show up fully in a relationship with another person. For me, to answer your question, I've been involved in the community in various aspects for the last 20, 25 years. A lot of it was through work through the Islamic schools where I was employed, and a lot of it was parenting workshops. And when I really peeled back the layers of what was going on in some of these households, it's not necessarily parenting that's the problem. The problem at the core is an unhealthy or toxic marriage. So now mothers don't have the energy to really engage with their children or show up for their children, because all their energy is being diverted or consumed by an unhealthy and even abusive relationship, right? And so it didn't take long in the one-on-one work to go from talking about parenting to marriage. And the interesting thing is that we all want to do the best for our children, but we're consuming and sort of focused on what parenting strategies can employ with my children, and what should I do with discipline, and how should I approach this topic, and how should I approach that topic. And that's a driver for a lot of Muslim women. But we don't often think that one of the best things we can do for our children is have a healthy, beautiful marriage where there's really like a culture of appreciation and respect in the home, because now you're setting up a family that has a beautiful family culture. And when you do that, that's probably the best thing you can do for your children. So I came at it a different way through a lot of parenting workshops, and then halakha in the community, in the masjids, and through writing for various blogs, being asked to speak for various organizations. And I think I just kept coming back to this realization that marriage really is, of course, it's so emphasized in the Qur'an and Sunnah, and with good reason, right? A strong marriage is really the backbone of strong, healthy, flourishing communities. So you really need to focus on that.
I love that. I just want to chime in here if I can, because this is like, my passion project and just my life's calling, is that you mentioned that the best gift that we can give to our children is a beautiful marriage, right? But I was just reading this incredible book written by one of the world's most renowned relationship experts, Paul McKenna, and it's called 7 Things That Make or Break a Relationship. And he talks about the study that we hear about often, that married people are, statistics show that they're happier on average than unmarried people. But he went deeper, and he found that people who were actually happier before they got married, that knew how to keep themselves happy before, poured that love and care to themselves before, were the same ones that after marriage were also very happy. So that's like profound, that investing in yourself, working on your own healing, taking care of yourself starts from before. You can't expect someone else to fill that void, which is what that expectation sometimes becomes because of society or because of, what we see on the media, that someone else is going to complete you. But no. When you learn to complete yourself first, then it truly becomes that marriage made in heaven that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala designed the institution of marriage for, So
yeah, I love that. And where I thought you were going with that, what I'd like to add is that when we do this for our children, then we're setting them up to have beautiful marriages, and we're setting up their future families to be even more healthy and more functional. And we don't often think about that. We think that these are our children and they're going to be children forever, but they're growing up, they're watching us, they're absorbing everything that we model for them in the home. And then eventually they're going to go on and establish their own families. And we definitely want to set those families up for success as well, inshallah.
Exactly. It's like
absolutely. Yeah, that's very insightful. Thank you, both of you. So let's just get into the details of this specific workshop that is coming up on, I believe, the 26th of November. Is that correct?
I'm so excited about it.
Yes. So you have chosen the topic, the 7 habits of mindful Muslim marriages. Can you explain why you did that? Why is that the title?
Saadia, you want me to?
I did, because you picked the title. I loved it, by the way. But go ahead. I think this one's pretty.
First of all, I just want to say the number 7, I love. It is a holy number for me, because we talk about the 7 heavens. We talk about even the I'm going to bring up my own journey where I, was on this self-understanding for about 6 years. In the 7th year, things started becoming clear for me, and I was able to write my book, so it's just, I've seen that from the lives of people that I've studied that have inspired me deeply. I've just seen that number coming up again and again. I think 7, it's like an odd number too. Allah loves odd numbers. So I just thought, hey, 7, and we were able to condense like years and years and decades of expertise and into just, 7 habits that are the keys to a marriage made in heaven. And I think that the mindfulness part of it is because mindfulness is such a big deal these days in mental health, in, the therapeutic spaces as well, which are becoming much more talked about these days, is just the focus in our specific workshop related to mindfulness is about that self-awareness piece, which I think people don't talk about. They focus on the outside, they focus on, the externalities. They don't focus on what you can do within to be the change, which will lead to, ease and success on the outside in much less time if you went, from the outside, inside out rather than the outside in, if that makes sense. So that was the reason behind the 7 and the mindfulness piece. And there's so much, like there's a treasure trove worth of gems that you guys are going to get. And when you do join the workshop, which it's like a no-brainer, to just hop on and register, because what you're going to get is, who knows, maybe it'll save you years of, your life. That so maybe one thing that you learn or something you share with someone else, and it'll really help them out. So definitely encourage to take this opportunity and jump
The
on.
next question that I have is, who do you think, what kind of people will benefit the most from this workshop? Who do you think it is targeted at?
That the targets might be slightly different for the two of us based on our work and our expertise. So for me, I'm imagining the frazzled, overwhelmed Muslim mom who's tried this and tried that, feels frustrated by her husband, is not able to connect, probably is dealing with some degree of resentment. And when she hears something like "be peace, so you can bring peace to your home," she probably rolls her eyes because she's like, "Oh yeah, okay, I'm gonna be peace. You want to hear what this man is like, right?" So like that, because I'm talking to my clients, they come to me and that's who they are, right? But the thing is, their intentions are so good. They understand, I need to save this marriage. I need to fix it and not just make it like a surface level thing, but I want to deepen it. I want to make it not just functional, but I want to make it thrive. I want to recapture that feeling of when we were in love and he used to go out of his way to do things for me. I want to appreciate him. You know how many women have told me, I want to be nicer to my husband. I know I should be nicer, but I can't help but snap at him or start complaining the minute he comes home. So like that mindfulness piece also to me is like a resetting our intentions and really just understanding why we married this man in the first place, what he does bring to our lives, and what we can do to sort of not just fix, but also make the relationship thrive. Because the other person is not always automatically on board, but there are things we can do by ourselves to improve the quality of any relationship, right? So empowering women to make those choices and not just wait for the other person to behave the way we want or expect, but to make those changes that we want to see in the relationship. So that's what I'm imagining. But I imagine for Ramsha, it's slightly different target audience. Go ahead, Ramsha.
Yeah, I loved what you shared about that mindfulness piece. And instead of waiting for the other person to make the change, you do it, you take initiative. That's so huge. If we realize that, that's literally putting the ego out of the picture and bridging the gap. So that's like the formula right there, So my target audience from my end would be like single women, Muslim women, engaged Muslim women, and newlywed Muslim women who are curious, who have seen examples, problematic examples within while they were growing up or within their communities. They're kind of scared of the idea of marriage if they're coming from the single or even the engaged perspective. And they're hesitant about what it's going to look like for them and if it's going to play out like the same old story that they've seen and that they're afraid of, or if there's really anything they can do to make it different this time. So it's about those cycle breakers that want to do something different. And they're curious and they want to find out, hey, can this help me? And they're open to listening and open to change.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I think like the principles that we're going to be outlining are the same. So it really doesn't matter whether you're 10 years into your marriage or you're just about to, you're on the cusp of getting married, because the core principles that should be guiding your marriage are pretty much, there's a lot of overlap there, right? But I think your target audience benefits that they don't have the layers of resentment necessarily built in yet, or children that inevitably complicate things, but in a way also provide the glue that many of us have with our husband.
SubhanAllah.
Okay, so that is a target audience. And once they take the workshop, what do you think is going to change within each of your specified target audience?
Yeah, so we're not going to just stick to theory because all of this sounds really pretty and flowery. And, you know, I get the image of skipping through a meadow with rainbows and butterflies. No, I want to give people solid things that they can implement that same day, that they can take away tips from this. We're going to present case studies of clients that we have worked with, of success stories, of things people tried that worked, and also, you know, just reminding women to be in their feminine energy and use the gifts Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has given them, rather than trying to swim against the tide, to swim with the tide, to take all the talents and all the beautiful characteristics that Allah has put in you, all the ease, all the things that we should be more tuned into, but I think we're not. To use those to our advantage, you know, to use the charm, to use the beauty that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has given us, and not just try to like approach our husbands the way we might approach something at work, like in that assertive, you know, masculine manner that works well for us in one setting, but won't work well in another. So that's some of the things that we definitely talked about, that we want to talk about, is like giving people solid tips and the examples of things that have worked for other women.
Yeah, and to add to your point, Saadia, I think the Prophet ﷺ said that if you want to know who a person is, then know who he's around, right? And this workshop provides all of our attendees an opportunity to be around women who've actually done what they want to do, who are in that positive headspace, who've done the work to get to a point where, you know, they're achieving what you want to be, inshallah, achieving. And so I think it's a very, very special space because there's some things that happen on the logical mind, and there's some things that happen in the heart space that we're not even conscious of. And when you walk away, and this is something that I get from attendees, whether it's in my workshops, whether it's for halakas, whether it's for any sort of gathering, is that you just, it's like this magnetic energy, this magnetic positivity that you walk away with that might even be the reason that you turn your entire life around. And to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala belong, you know, the best of outcomes and the best of, but we cannot underestimate the effect, the powerful magnetic effect of being in the incredible positive energy.
I'm so sorry.
That's what we're trying to cultivate, you know, within the community that we hope will attend this workshop.
Thank you for sharing that. So, yeah, so let's talk about.
I'm so sorry.
That's okay. How to register. Hi, how are you?
Hi. Assalamualaikum.
Hi.
Baby.
He ran in here finally. We could only keep him away for so long. He's my youngest of 6, mashallah.
Mashallah.
He's the apple of everyone's eye over here.
Amazing. And yet, mashallah, tabarakallah, look at the barakah in your time, Saadia, that you're able to do the work you do. And, you know, a household of 6 babies.
They're not all babies. The eldest is 16.
Oh, I think 6 children, you know, 6
we
babies.
squeeze a lot out of our older ones, alhamdulillah.
And mashallah. Okay. So about registration, Iram, you mentioned.
Yes. So I just wanted you to explain how people can join the workshop, what they have to pay, and if there's any, you know, what is the price, and so on.
Yeah, so it's being run through Muslim Moms of Canada. So there's an Eventbrite link at the bottom of the poster we've been distributing, and it'll be here on this video as well. And what you're going to do is I think the early bird price is $50 Canadian. I don't remember what the US price was. Was it 36, Ramsha?
Yeah.
Okay, which is the same. And that'll get you all of this, like 2 hours of work for $50. Like to put that into perspective, we provide one-on-one coaching for about $100 US per hour, Ramsha and I. And we both have so many clients that recently I actually reached out to Ramsha asking for a recommendation for a virtual assistant, mashallah, and feeling overwhelmed. So this is a steal for the amount of content that we're going to be putting in just 2 hours, right? I'm basically taking everything that all the patterns I've been noticing in my work with clients, and about 75% of the work I do is strengthening marriages. And I'm just trying to like fit it into this 2 hours. And I know Ramsha's going through the same process. Like we've already had to make so many cuts just with the amount of information we wanted to present. So it's $50. But if you don't want to rush into a decision, then after November 18th, I think the price goes up to 60, which is still a steal. And if you look at comparable workshops that are constantly advertised on Instagram and other platforms, then definitely this is at a lower price point. But we want to provide as much value to as many people possible.
Yeah, and just to add to that, I mean, on my end here in the US, and we're trying to target an audience worldwide. So anyone, lots of people reached out and they were asking about if they can register, with the Canadian currency if they're in a different country, like if they're registering from the US. And I want to speak to that you can, when you click on add tickets and you add a ticket for yourself or for someone else, that it's going to show up in Canadian dollars, but when you put in your credit card details, it's going to charge it and convert it into the currency, your home currency, basically. So you don't have to worry about that at all. You don't have to do any conversions yourself. All you have to do is just put in your payment details, click purchase on the ticket, and it'll be, a seamless process for you. And, for me on my end, if you want to get a one-to-one session, it's at least $215 for relationship coaching per 45-minute session. And I rarely take clients for that. That's only through the marriage and family therapy practice. But for my one-to-ones, it's thousands of dollars for you to, and I only take like 3 clients every quarter. So this is what you're getting right here is, and I'm very selective about who I work with. So what you're getting here is access to our energy for 2 whole hours, everything that we've worked so hard to, refine into this accessible model for you. It's a no-brainer. And we do it at, USD, it's $36 at such a low price point for the early bird price until November 18th. So you could get a taste test of what it's like to work with us in a more intimate capacity.
But having said that, I do want to say that, I'm getting calls every day, and I was just at the masjid talking to the imam on Sunday, and really, he turned to me, he had tears in his eyes, and he said, I'm really worried about the state of Muslim marriages. I'm really, really worried about what's going on in our communities. Like every other day, there's somebody coming to the masjid, and the stories are breaking my heart. All right. And he's just like, I don't know what to do. Right. So aside from the money, and it's really not about the money, like we have a deeper calling and a passion here to uplift people in difficult situations and to uplift the state of Muslim marriages. When you're uplifting marriages, you're uplifting families. And a lot of people really want healed, loving relationships with their spouses, but they really just don't have the tools to put that into place. So the idea is, let's talk about some constructive ways that we can build those marriages that we're all longing for, that we would all benefit from, right? And let's talk to other people. Like, let's have an interactive process where we open up some of these conversations. What's happening in our homes are often other people don't know about it. It's a very vulnerable space, right? So now when I talk to you about some of the problems people are facing, suddenly you don't feel so alone. You feel like you're connected to some larger problems that other people are experiencing as well. And now let's talk about some solutions. Let's talk about things that have actually worked for other people. Let's talk about let's talk about people that have been in worse situations and been able to turn it all around. Alhamdulillah.
Yeah. And you know, Islam is the faith of hope. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala inspires us with hope in every single page of his holy book. And that's what we hope to inspire everyone who comes out and attends this workshop, is just this feeling of hope that no situation is too far gone. And inshallah, with his power and his will, anything can be turned around. And that's all in that power of the kun fayakun. And the biggest life hack, in fact, is having, an incredible marriage. So you're getting access to what makes that life hack possible within this workshop. We're so excited to see you there, inshallah.
Absolutely. We are all very excited, and we hope that everybody who is the target audience that they have talked about is going to join and take the workshop and gain all the knowledge that is there for you from Ramsha and Saadia. Thank you so much for watching, and thank you so much, Saadia and Ramsha, for joining us today and speaking about your workshop.
Thank you so much for the opportunity and for the platform. Alhamdulillah, it's going to be really great.
Inshallah.